Happy Saturday, everybody. This is my, what will hopefully become a weekly live stream. Right now, I've been going through doing old video game magazines, Nintendo Power in particular, because I had a subscription to them for many years. So, as was advertised before, we're going to do the next Nintendo Power in my stack that I've got here. Here's the issue we're looking at today. This is volume 208, October 2006. So, it's been a while since I got this one. Hey there, buddy. How are you doing today so far? Doing all right. Hanging in there. Was out late for a concert last night, but I guess that's sort of to be expected because it's me after all. So you got an exclusive up there regarding the Wii. Remember the last live stream I did was an issue that was about a year older, and it was still calling that system the Revolution before it came out. Cover story for Final Fantasy III, which finally got its first release in the United States around this time in a DS port. Got a Star Fox head down at the bottom, Star Fox Command. There's the spine. I remember all those magazines back in the day. Even had one through PlayStation and Xbox. Yeah, there were a ton of gaming mags back in the day. Not so much anymore with the whole internet thing going on now. There's an ad on the back for some DS game called Contact. I never played this one, but looks interesting. Inside the front cover, there's an ad for the Dragon Quest Rocket Slime game. I remember I rented this at one point back when I had GameFly, and it was actually pretty good. Kind of like Legend of Zelda, but you play as a slime from Dragon Quest. Hopefully we'll get some more games like that in the future. I do like the Dragon Quest series. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. Here we got an ad for a One Piece game, and then there's also table of contents for the issue. So we got a football game here. Well, it's down here, one of those cooking games, and I'm guessing that's a Nintendogs ad at the bottom. I've never watched One Piece before, but they actually did open a One Piece cafe out here in Chinatown, so I might have to go check that out at some point, just out of curiosity. Table of contents, and then there's another One Piece ad on this page as well. One Piece actually started in Shonen Jump, which is the same manga anthology that Dragon Ball started as well. Also, Naruto came from there too. And then there's the game index, and there's this B-Damen ad. I'm not totally sure what that is. From the sounds of the title, probably something very, very Japanese. Next up, we have the Player's Pulse. This is where people sent in their letters. How many magazines do you have in total? Not that many, honestly. I mean, I think I only have one more I haven't read in a live stream. And I'll probably do that next week, but this is just a list of some of the letters. So the only ones I kept are the ones that I had letters in, so I'm trying to find my letter in here. So let's see. Yeah, I wrote in a letter asking about the movie The Wizard being on DVD, the old Nintendo movie that came out in 1989. They got a picture there of the Lucas Barton character from the movie. And what is this ad on this side? Super Robot Tyson, Original Generation. I don't know that game or franchise. Again, something that sounds very, very Japanese, although that's not a bad thing. There's an ad for you plan on buying any more in the future? If you mean gaming mags, probably not, unless I find some vintage ones for really cheap. I wouldn't mind reading those on here. I did give a lot of them to a friend of mine, so probably if he has any of those left, I might actually see if I can borrow some of those and read them on here. There's an ad for a Touch Detective game on this page, as well as like a Most Wanted section. Looks like they had a video game based on the movie Cars. Got the game news section here. There's like an ad for The Sims. There's a soccer game. And then there's some war game down at the bottom. I remember my ex-girlfriend absolutely loved The Sims. That was like her favorite game. They got some more forthcoming game ads on this page. Got a gaming calendar down at the bottom. More coming soon games. I got to look at this Tony Hawk Downhill Jam. Something about like a Wii lightsaber game. I don't know if that ever came out. There's an ad for Avatar: The Last Airbender. Another show that I've actually never watched before. Game Watch forecast on this page. And then there's an ad for Hubba Bubba Bubblegum. Do they still make Hubba Bubba? For that matter, they still make any of the bubble gum that I had as a kid. I mean, there were all kinds of brands back then. And back then, they all advertised on TV, too. Because it was always really hip to just try to get these ad campaigns to reach out to kids. And I spent a lot of time watching channels like Nickelodeon as a kid, so I got hit with a lot of that child marketing. Then we have like a Smash Brothers highlight that has Pit from Kid Icarus. And there's a Trauma Center game here as well. Got the preview section here. We got Mario Hoops 3-on-3 and Pokemon Ranger. Do you remember Metal Edge magazines? Yeah, I know what that is. I don't own any of those magazines, but I am aware of that. There's an ad for a DS Spider game, a Spyro game for multiple consoles, and then there is a Contact game here as well. There's a close-up. Yeah, Game Boy Advance port of Final Fantasy V, which that had not been previously released in America prior to this, aside from being featured in a PlayStation 1 collection a few years prior. There's a Marvel trading card game, and there's also a Crash Bandicoot game. Kind of weird how Crash Bandicoot started out as like sort of like a PlayStation flagship character, but then he started showing up on the Nintendo system. Metal Edge magazines came with mini posters of the band, really popular back then, like Circus Magazine. Yeah, I know a lot of the magazines back then threw in a lot of posters and things like that. Got some more game previews on this side. There's, when I just mentioned Naruto, there's a Naruto game there. And here's the beginnings of the article about the DS port of the Japanese Final Fantasy III. Again, this was the first time this game saw the light of day in any shape or form in the United States. Here's a look at some characters. They talk about the job system the game had. And you have things over here like various versions of the game, like the original Famicom version. Famicom was the original Nintendo in Japan. Over there it was called Famicom, short for Family Computer. So like the SNES was the Super Famicom, Super Family Computer. Here's a look at some more stuff in this DS port of Final Fantasy III. Here we got an ad for a Call of Duty game. More Call of Duty on this page, and there's an ad for something called Summon Night 2 Swordcraft Story. I don't know that game. Got a very anime-type art style, though. It looks like it might be a pretty interesting game if it's something you can still get or play. And here they have, this was in anticipation of Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. They got like, top 5 transformations, top 5 supporting characters, just sort of a retrospective of the Zelda franchise. I do love the Zelda games, so I always like reading stuff like this. And just a year ago, we got Tears of the Kingdom, one of the biggest, best Zelda games so far. On this side, you have like the top 5 enemies. And then there's an ad over here for a game in the Harvest Moon series, which of course is that farming simulation series that got pretty popular. Got a big ad here for a Super Monkey Ball game. I've never actually played one of these myself. And then here we have the players poll contest, which is what they did like every issue. This time they're giving away a DS Lite, and you can get a copy of Mario Hoops 3-on-3. And then second prize, it says you get like a Mario basketball backboard set. And you can see where the entry form used to be in the crease there, so I must have torn that out and entered the contest. In all the years I subscribed to Nintendo Power, I only ever won prizes in contests twice. I won like 2 of the WarioWare games once, and then once I won a t-shirt. So I actually at some point did win stuff, just not ever grand prize. Here we got Pac-Man World Rally. There was a period of time where every gaming company was trying to do their own version of Super Mario Kart because Super Mario Kart pretty much launched a whole new genre of video games. And this is kind of silly because Pac-Man actually is a playable character in some of the arcade Mario Kart games. Here we have a look at that Trauma Center game. Again, this is one that I've not played personally. There's a lot of stuff in here I haven't played, so I might have to go back and do a little more research. And here's a look at EA, pretty big manufacturer back in the game. I remember the EA Sports titles were always really big. Got a preview here for a Harry Potter game. And on the other side, they got one of those Ocarina ads. Because there was this company that made ocarinas based on the ones from Ocarina of Time and the Zelda franchise at large. I think I said this in my last video, but if anyone watching this ever bought one of those ocarinas, let me know how it was, because I'm certainly curious about that. And here we have a feature on Baten Kaidos Origins. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I remember I had a friend that used to play those games back in the day. That name actually sounds quite familiar. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. More stuff on this page for the Baten Kaidos. And here is Animal Crossing for the DS. I remember my ex who used to live with me should play Animal Crossing on the Switch like nonstop, to the point that I finally had to help her buy her own Switch so she'd leave mine alone. Yeah, and here's an ad, a feature for Boktai Lunar Nights. Because I remember they had like a solar-powered sensitive cartridge for the game that was on, I think it was on the GBA. And here's a poster, which I assume is probably for that game. Yeah, Lunar Nights right there. That's pretty cool. And the back of this is like just plain white. There's nothing there, so I'm not going to show that off. Here's the continued preview for that game. So they had some contests going on for the Dragon Quest Rocket Slime game I was talking about earlier. And then continued coverage on that side. They got an article here on free play, because a lot of DS games you could actually do like a shared game where you only needed one cartridge, and this let more than one person play an online game, so that was pretty cool back in the day. A few more games that fit into that category. And here we have a look at the Star Fox Command for the DS. I remember I had this game back in the day, but I wasn't a fan of how it was like, strategy based. You just did like little blurbs of flying. You didn't do like actual full-on levels. For me, nothing in this series ever topped Star Fox 64, which remains one of my favorite video games of all time. Here's a look at the the game map for Star Fox Command. Here's a look at like some of the enemies in the game. Which franchises can most benefit from an appearance on the Wii? Like, there's a picture of Punch out there. This is like, I think this is what, Yeah, Nights into Dreams. That was a game on the Sega Saturn, and I think they made a Wii version of that at some point. And then this guy right here, it's Klonoa, I think his name is. I'm not going to sit here and read every single word of this. And there's a DS ad on that side. Got a Pokemon Dungeon Master ad here. And there's also like a little Pokemon manga in here as well, which looks like I never actually punched out of the magazine. I'm not gonna go through every page of that, but that's pretty cool. Black and white, so it definitely looks like, you know, like a real manga. They had this section called Playback where they looked at old games and accessories, and here they got to look at the Game Boy camera. I actually had one of those back in the day. That was always a lot of fun. Interesting trivia. The Game Boy camera featured some Pokemon stamps before Pokemon games first came out in America. So that's actually where America first got a look at the Pokemon characters in a game of sorts. Although Nintendo Power did do some previews of the games when they were Japan only back in the day. Reviews start on this page. Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime got a 9 out of 10. That's pretty good. And like over here, you got an ad for a game based on the movie The Ant Bully. That only got a 5.0. Games based on movies and movies based on games are usually terrible. There have been some exceptions to that rule over the years, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. They gave Star Fox Command a 9.5 out of 10, which I think is a little too generous. Got a Super Monkey Ball game over here that got 5.5 out of 10. Yeah, Bubble Bobble Revolution. I always loved the Bubble Bobble games from back in the day. That and, yeah, there's a Rainbow Islands Revolution. Rainbow Islands was like the Bubble Bobble sequel, but then confusingly they put out Bubble Bobble Part 2, so it's like kind of went off on its own there. Neither one of those games got very high ratings in here, unfortunately. Got a few more ads here. That Pac-Man Rally, the Pac-Man Kart Racer, there's something here. There's an Alex Rider game. There's an ad here for the band Hawthorne Heights. Apparently they were on tour at the time. It does say that they actually had an appearance in Las Vegas. I wonder what venue they played at. And then we have, this is the section where they have like ratings for games from various past issues. So it's kind of like an index. That's kind of nice to have. So let's say, just for kicks, I'll scroll down here. Let's say Mario's Tennis Power Tour, for example, got a 7.0. Here we got some cool Comic-Con photos with people dressed up as their favorite characters. And there's also an ad there for the movie The Wizard, which I had mentioned in the letter that I had published in here. Some more odds and ends here. People showing off their memorabilia, some, photography. Someone made custom avatars in the bottom right there. I believe those are from the game Hogan's Alley for the NES, if I'm not mistaken. There's an ad here for something called Stormbreaker, and then some Pokemon stuff on that side next month. There's like a quiz here. This is regarding the Final Fantasy series. There's like contact information to get in touch with Nintendo. When I was a little kid, I wrote a bunch of letters to Nintendo, like back before email really went mainstream. So I wrote my parents. I got a stack of letters, mostly from Nintendo, like probably like that thick. Here's a look at the then most recent back issues, some of the games and content that we're looking at in those. Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. The DS was where you could really first start playing online. Like when it became a mainstream feature for Nintendo consoles. I mean, they had things in the past like the NES satellites and the X-Band service for the Super Nintendo. But this was like the first like full-on mainstream, like buy Nintendo straight from Nintendo that you had on a console. The DS service was since shut down, but that was a major step forward for them as a company. Here we have what we have at the bookends of most Nintendo Powers. You have ads trying to get you to subscribe to the magazine. they always let you know, how much you'd save off the cover price by doing this. In this case, what do they say? They can get 24 issues, 2 years for $36.95, or 12 issues, 1 year for $19.95. And then you could choose a player's guide as an incentive for signing up. In this case, you could choose from New Super Mario Bros., Animal Crossing Wild World, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, Final Fantasy IV Advance, or Metroid Prime Hunters. And that's the end of issue 208. How many pages were in this issue, just out of curiosity? Looks like just over 100. One interesting thing about Nintendo Power, for the longest time, it was like exactly 99 pages every issue, give or take. And then it's like the length got a little more, inconsistent over time. Like sometimes it was a little shorter, sometimes it was a little longer. The magazine had a lot of, reinventions, rewrites, things like that. So anyway, that's going to be the end of this live stream. I do have one more Nintendo Power that I'm going to plan on reading next week, and that's this one, which has Super Mario Galaxy on the cover. So this would have been probably about a year into the Wii lifespan. So again, next week, this will be our subject. So before I end the live stream, anyone watching this video, do you have any parting shots, anything you want to say, anything you want to suggest? Or is it just pretty much dead air right now? For those of you who aren't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of product unboxings and reviews on here. And then I also have an ongoing series called The Battle Jacket Kid, where I talk about my love of rock and roll, pop culture, making battle jackets. I already got some more patches, so I'm going to make my next jacket, get that done pretty soon. But I do a little bit of everything on this channel, and I'd be very happy if you subscribe. So if there are no further questions, I am going to go ahead and end the live stream at this time. I want to give a great big thank you to everyone that did tune in. Thanks again for all your support. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking the video. See you next time. Thanks again.